Welcome back to the JavaScript Challenge. Today is day 3, and we're going to be building this web page right up here. If you're new here, hi, my name's Zoe. I'm a software engineer and former university professor who loves to teach folks how to code. If you're interested in learning how to do front-end development, check that first link in the description below. One thing I always tell my students is how important it is to establish a daily habit of coding, and with this challenge, that's exactly what we're trying to do. So if you want to check out the other videos in this series, I'll link them down below and at the end of the video. But without further ado, let's hop into today's challenge. All right, so today we're going to be building this like single page launch website here. So pretty straightforward. Let's go ahead and hop into the code. So first things first, I'm going to hop into these two pages and just clear them out, these two files, CSS files. And you'll see it just automatically just cleared out all the sort of default styles that I had put in there already. I'm using a starter file that I have on my GitHub account, the amongst Material UI, Next.js, and TypeScript app router starter, but you can use literally anything to build this. This I just used because it was quick. And you can also use that if you're interested. I'll link it down below as well. All right, so looks like we have just a basic launch page with some icons and an email validator in the middle here. Okay, not too bad. Let's go ahead and get that started. So I guess one thing I'm going to do first, I'm going to create a new folder for my components. And I'm going to say, let's see, and we need to access our page, which is just going to be all in one page. I guess we'll start with this. I also dropped in the assets, so let's see what assets we have. We have our logo. Okay, so let's start with the logo. Get rid of this typography element, and we'll say, we'll use an image from Next.js. Well, source is going to be /images/logo.svg. And we're going to say our alt is going to be logo, and then we'll grab our width and our height from our Figma. And all these projects, all these challenges are from Front-End Mentor, so if you do want to check them out and do your own challenge, or do this challenge, you can check it out there. So we're going to do the width is 90, height is 39. It's 90, height is 39. And we're going to save that there. Okay, awesome. Cool, updated. Perfect. Looks a little squished. But those are the dimensions it's calling for. All right, we'll see how this goes. All right, so the next one we need is, we actually do need a typography element. We are launching soon. So we'll drop that underneath. We'll say typography. Variant. I guess that's going to be for each one. We are launching soon. I'm just going to wrap this in a span, because soon was bolded. And I'm going to add a style here. I'm going to say font weight is going to be, let's say 600. Oh, and you know what? I need to set the font weight generally to be 500. So that it, oh, maybe even less. 400. So that it pops. And then what color is this? This is actually a different color. So we'll say the color is going to be color and then the color of this I think is going to go back to black. But let me double check. It might not be complete black. Yeah, usually you don't get black on white because it creates an unpleasant visual experience. So it's usually something very close to, but not exactly black. And then down here, subscribe and get notified. I'm just going to say typography. Drop that there. And that's going to be size 20. That same not black color. And then font size is going to be what, 1.25 rem. We'll save that. Cool. Decent. So we have those three, and then now we need our email validator and a notify me button. Now there's a couple of ways we can do this. We could do it using something like Material UI. You know, we can actually access I'm sure they have an email component that we could leverage here, or we could build it manually. So let's take a look and see what they have here. They have like a form control API. And you'll see that when you use their forms, you get a lot of like sort of built-in functionality. So we could do that, or we can build it manually. Let's start trying to build it manually. If it gets too taxing, too complicated, no, we can build it using this. But no, I think we should be all right. All right, so let's start with, I think it's an input we need here. So we're gonna say, and this one I'm actually gonna put in another component file. We'll say new file, email.tsx, because it is gonna be a client component, and material UI, or not material UI, Next.js is not gonna like that. So we're gonna use that, drop this in here. Cool, so far so good. Now we're gonna say input. Open this. We'll just leverage their styles. If they have anything interesting. Maybe not. Okay. All right, maybe we'll have to just style it ourselves. So we'll say input. Let's see what color this is. Looks like there's a little, yeah, this like light blue. We'll say border, 1 pixel, solid, whatever color that is, light blue. Okay, cool. We'll say border radius equals 2 rem. Cool. We'll say placeholder, I believe it is, your email address. And then the button is notify me. Oh, and maybe I need to set the color. The color I think is the same as the border. Cool. And let's see how wide this is. 421 pixels. So we'll set that. Add a little bit of padding there. And then the notify me button next to it. So it's a button. And that's going to be this color. Is the color already white? No, it's not. It's a color. It's going to be white. And then we're going to copy that because we want them to kind of match. Copy the padding. We could also create like a base thing, but that's not really necessary. It's going to be 200 pixels wide. And we're actually going to give it a height of 56 pixels, 3.5 rem. All right, cool. So that looks pretty decent. Yeah, it looks pretty good. right now there's no validation. All right, let's finish out the design and then we'll add in the validation. All right, so one of the last things we need here is this image. So back on our page, we're gonna add in another image, and I'm assuming we have a relative path for that. Source is gonna be that. We're gonna say alt example. Not really sure what we're advertising here. 640 by 383. So width is gonna be 640. Height is gonna be 383. Save that. Cool, there we go. And then we have these favicon. Oh, I don't think we actually got those. All right, so we'll skip that. We didn't grab those images. But this is pretty much the website. So I'm gonna just go ahead and center everything really quickly. Okay, cool, looking pretty good. I think the height of this could probably be a little bit less. Maybe let's go with 29. This is the logo I'm looking at. Awesome. I'm gonna add some margin. Say margin, top bottom, 40 pixels. Oh, you know, I added it to the wrong component. That's why it's not working. All right, so we'll say style equals that margin. There we go. Much better. And then this one. That looks good. Subscribe and get notified. I'll say margin bottom. Oops, bottom 25 rem. I will say margin top 1 rem. Cool. And then this margin bottom is 94. That's the email. Bottom. Whoops, 94 pixels. Imagine 94 rem, that'd be way too much. All right, so we'll save that. Cool. Maybe even a little bit too much space because we don't actually need all of that space. Yeah, there we go. That looks pretty decent. And I'll add some margin to the right of that. Awesome. Looks pretty good. So I think we're design-wise, we're set. Let's actually make this do something now. So what we want to do is when a user inputs their email address, we want it to like return something. Let me see if they have anything in the design. Okay, so it says, please provide a valid email address when you click on the button. So that's basically using some sort of email validator. So again, we could do this with Material UI. You could see if we have an email validator. No. Okay, let's do email validator. JS. And let's see how we can do this. How can I validate an email address in JavaScript? Let's see. Using regular expressions, we could do that. Oh, that's just going to tell me what a regular expression is. All right, so we could try something like this. Cool. That could work. This validates in use, do not use. All right, so let's try something else. Google to get a proper regex. All right, let's try, see what that. AI. All right, is email. Okay, so this could be valid, might be valid. Let's see. And again, we don't want to go like super crazy with this. We just want something that works well enough. Let's try this for now. So this is just using regular expressions to test whether or not the input we put in is valid. So I'm going to say const is email. I'm just going to use that to test whether or not what we've input is an email. And we're going to say email is of type string. And so then, let's see, we want to, on the input, we want to, on change, I guess. On change we want to say is email e.target.value, I believe. And we're going to try console.log email. Let's see if we get an answer there. So let's inspect. Whoops. Just want to see console here. And we'll say, okay, cool. So we're getting what we're typing in. Perfect. So yeah, just targeting the target value of whatever it is. And we'll say if it is email, and so return. Okay. So that's a checker for the email. Now we need to do something with this information. So we'll say const validator. So we'll run the is email check. So we'll say email is email with email. Const is valid email equals is email. If is valid email, then we want to, I'm going to use state again, const use state, const is valid, we're going to say set is valid, valid equals use state, false. If is valid email, I'm going to set is valid to true. It's going to be a type string. And then if is valid, else set is valid to false. So actually, let's start with use valid. Let's say true. We'll set started as true, and then the border for our input is going to be, let me check the design. Yeah, so it should change to red. So it's going to start out as this, and we're going to say is valid, and if it is valid is true, then it should be that. If is valid is not true, however, it should be this pink kind of color here. All right. And then we're going to call the validator, instead of his email, we're going to call the validator with that. Might work. Let's try it. So when we start, it should be nothing. Then when I type, yes, it's invalid. But if I say e@gmail.com, it's valid. Perfect. All right, cool. So That's pretty much the validator right there. And then obviously once you click notified me, you'd want to send it somewhere. So let me just run through what we did. So we got this regex email checker, and it's basically checking to see if, based on what characters are provided to it, whether or not it's in the correct format of an email. I'm not saying that this is the best regex email checker validator, just what we found, as you saw looking online. So then what we did, we went to our input component here, and we said on change. So every time the user types a new letter, a new key, we want to take that event and get the target value of that event, and then we want to pass that to our validator. What our validator is going to do is it's going to call our isEmail validator, and it's going to save it to a variable that says isValidEmail. If it is a valid email, it's going to set our state of isValid to true. If it's not, it's going to set our state of isValid to false. IsValid is basically just our border. We're just using it for CSS at the moment, but we could actually use it to prevent submission. Is what it's going to say is if it is valid, we're going to change the color back to blue so it looks normal and with the design. But if it isn't valid, we're going to change it to red, this like reddish pinkish color, to say, hey, you're doing something incorrectly. And then when you click notify me, we could hook it up to actually send the result somewhere and say, hey, they've sent a valid email. And again, there's a lot more you could do. You could say, please provide a valid email address. We could actually just drop that in the bottom here. We could say, please provide a valid email address. Again, this is all just based on whether or not is valid is true. So if is valid, if not is valid, let me do that. Oh no, if it is valid, do that. We're just gonna set it to this color, which is our red. And so you'll see please provide a valid email address. So again, we'd have to fix up the style a little bit, but we can basically use this check to initialize different actions, show different things on our page. That was day 3 of our JavaScript challenge. If you're interested in following along, please hit that subscribe button down below. If you like the video, hit the like, and I'll link the rest of the videos up here if you want to start over from day 1 and follow along with the journey. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.